All right, everyone. Ron DeSantis continues to prove everyone's point that he's just poor at messaging and strategy, much like with the House dust-up the other day. And it's like, ideologically, you're doing nothing wrong, but strategically, you're like off the charts. Ron DeSantis has the same problem. Many of his ideological beliefs overlap with MAGA anyway. There are a few examples of things that really pissed me off, like HB 269. His attack on Trump in the wake of the beginning of Indictment Gate was really offhanded and didn't make sense. But I mean, it's DeSantis' right to run for the position he's running for. Some MAGA have a problem with it. They're like, well, you should drop out and endorse already, end the primaries. I actually don't agree. I think they can stay in as long as they have money, and I don't have a problem with it. Trump is all but ignoring them anyway. There is no real primary going on. Right now, there's a fucking clown show contest for second place, and that's what you've got. DeSantis continues to pretend, though, that he has political relevance. There are several reasons why that's not the case. Number one, his period of viability was long ago, and he's gone nowhere but down since then. He's got less than half of the support that he did at peak. He's made, I think, too many errors in judgment, especially with regards to messaging, to make up that lost time. I know that you've got people, DeSantis fans, they say, well, the primaries aren't over. You still got 3 months before voting begins. That's absolutely true, of course. The problem is that the trajectory would have to reverse and be on steroids in order for DeSantis to be riding up at a level commensurate with winning a single state at this point. He is indeed more than 30 points down in all of the starting states versus Trump. In New Hampshire, he's not even in second place anymore. He's tied for fourth place with Chris goddamn Christie. In fact, the only methodology by which I can see him eking out a second place win in all of the first four states, thus at least allowing him a plausible run on Super Tuesday where he doesn't get creamed in his own home state, is if Christie were to drop out and endorse either DeSantis or Haley. Haley right now is arguably the second place candidate, not Ron DeSantis. And this is what we saw, and this is what I predicted would happen prior to this election, prior to anyone jumping in the race. I think it's like one also ran at the time against Trump, and that was it. I looked at 2016, and I looked at the Dems in 2020, and all of these other races in recent history. What you typically get if you have an incumbent number one, or in Trump's case, a quasi-incumbent, or you have someone shooting out of the gates, is typically, and this starts with 2016, in Trump's case, they go to the top, and people that don't like them, especially in a crowded field, there will be plenty of people that don't like the front-running candidate. One person distinguishes themselves somehow, by some method, they go up and they go back down. And then the next person, and then the next person, and each wave gets weaker than the last one. Nikki Haley's wave is weaker than Ron DeSantis' wave. His wave happened months ago. His wave happened, I think, when there's still fucking snow on the ground this last spring. Ron DeSantis is still, maybe I'll run, maybe I won't, fiddling around with it and wasting his time. He rose up to about 30 in the aggregate. Now he's down around 14. Nikki Haley is currently having her surge. Vivek Ramaswamy already had his installed out. He's going back down now as Nikki Haley rises. I don't know who the next one will be, but they'll probably not crack 10 points. At the moment, though, Ron DeSantis effectively is playing second fiddle to Nikki Haley in two of the most important states. South Carolina, where Nikki Haley's a resident, so that kind of makes sense. She had more support there anyway. And now New Hampshire. Nikki Haley is in second place in New Hampshire. Ron DeSantis is barely holding on to third ahead of Chris Christie. He's still got a lead in the also ran category for Iowa, but that could change too. If he loses another couple of points of support, or if the Never Trumpers start flocking to Haley because they say, well, she's the one that's now ahead, and that begins to impact Iowa voting, well, that's all over. It's all over for Ron DeSantis at that point. He's not going to rise back up. He's already had his peak. When a candidate peaks, if they can't maintain that momentum in peak, they're fucking done. It's just the way that things work. I mean, find me a countervailing example in the last few elections, please. I think that you'll be scratching your head, your ass at the same time trying to dig one out. The last time you have a situation other than that really is Giuliani v. McCain. We're talking about 2008 when they're not running against a Dem incumbent. They're trying to take on either Obama or Hillary. And Rudy Giuliani led for a significant period of time. And then in the end, John McCain skyrocketed out of nowhere. That was primarily because of Rudy Giuliani making mistakes. I would point out he never led as widely and consistently as Trump has led in the current primaries. Also, Giuliani didn't have a technical incumbency or a presidential record to run on, so it's apples to oranges. Yeah, they're still fruits, but they're not the same species. Trump will be the nominee. It doesn't at this point, I think, matter what they do in the legal sense. Again, after Super Tuesday's over, it'll have been a bloodbath. He'll probably have won every state by then. If he loses one or two, it doesn't matter, but I don't see him losing any of them. I see him humiliating DeSantis in Florida if DeSantis is unwise enough to still be in by then. I have a feeling that DeSantis will probably come in third in either Iowa or New Hampshire and then drop out. And then his fans will, cry foul about rigging or something like that. And most of them in the end will vote for Trump, although a lot of them will simply stay home because they'll be demoralized. And that's what the Democrats want. They really want a grudge match. I'm not pointing this out because I have some deep-seated hatred of DeSantis. As I've said, I don't care whether he runs. I just thought it was a bad idea to do so. That being said, he is not politically relevant within the context of the primaries at this point. He's only in second place in one, possibly two of the starting states. Nevada's polling is abysmal right now. He's behind Haley in New Hampshire. He's behind Haley in South Carolina. He's at risk of slipping into fourth in New Hampshire. Donald Trump is leading by more than 30 points in all of those starting states. He's had the lead in Florida, DeSantis' home state. If DeSantis goes into Super Tuesday and he loses his home state by anything other than the slimmest of margins, he will get humiliated. He will exit politics. For all those people saying, "Oh, I love Ron DeSantis so much. Even if he doesn't win win now, I'll support him for anything." You're not going to get a chance. What you need to be doing is settling for a situation in which DeSantis, if he's smart, will drop out before Super Tuesday. He's not going to win any of these states. If anything, Nikki Haley picking away at South Carolina would be more likely. That's still basically a flying fuck at a rolling donut chance. It's not going to happen. It's going to be Trump 2024, whether you like it or not. You either vote for him or you don't. That's your choice. I would say it's a good idea to vote for him, considering the alternative is a goddamn vegetable that leaves you President Kamala Harris, which should terrify you. But there will be some people who don't give that the credence that it deserves. That's about all. Peace out.